Go then. Okay, introducing my next special guest now. We have Gav King on my show. Gav King, great name. How are we doing?
I'm doing fine, Matt, now that I'm finally here.
Great. Love it. I do like your sense of humor. You've got to have a sense of humor in this field, haven't you? In all fields.
Let's face it, if you don't laugh, you're only going to cry, mate.
That's it. That's a good song, isn't it? A good lyric from a song, that is.
Oh,
I
hang
think,
on, I'll note it down.
yeah. I'm not sure what song it was. I think it was from the 80s. Anyway, Gav King, how long have you been doing music for?
Since 1957.
Oh wow, I bet you've seen it all. I bet you've seen the highs and the lows and
I've seen an awful lot. I mean, interestingly, that's why I did the Skeletons album.
mm,
People have been saying to me, they'd often say, oh, got any stories? So I tell them some stories, and they said, you ought to write a book. And I went, no, I'm not that sort of writer. I'm a lyricist, but
mm,
I'm not a writer. And they said, well, why don't you do an album? Sat and thought down, and then my songwriting partner from my band, he basically said to me, come on, you're going to do it. And he pushed me into it. So the album itself is taking important parts of my life, looking back.
mm.
Then I wrote songs about individual bits. And it's also me talking to my grandchildren, basically saying, look, if you fuck up, don't worry about it.
Right.
Because in 2 weeks, somebody else will be talking about something else. Apologize, move on, forgive
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay, so this album is quite retrospective, isn't it?
It
Of your
is.
life. And it includes 10 tracks. Perfect as well. Nice 10 tracks and 41 minutes in length.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And Skeletons, that's your lead single off this track. Is this your standout record?
Well, Profiled was released first, if only because it had the most relevant to publicity because
Mm,
it's about Simon Pegg, the film director,
right.
and he did the Cornetto trilogy. So the first two films were made, and he was doing the third one, which is called World's End.
Mm,
He needed an inspiration on what to do it on, and he was researching Hot Fuzz, and
right.
in actually in the village I lived in, and the copper that he was talking to said, "Oh, I know somebody you'd be interested in. The guy that lives in that house is an aging rock star, and he's just put the band back together again." And if I don't know whether you've seen the film, but the lead character is called Gary King.
Yes, I do remember I actually paid to see that film in when people used to go to the cinema back in the
You
day.
did.
Brilliant.
That's right.
And where are you based? Is it Bristol, is it, if I'm
Yeah,
stand correct?
yeah. And so Skeletons, because I'd had such a good response from Profiled, it's still actually being played out there now. But Skeletons has followed it up, and that has really quite taken off. I mean, I've got one radio station that has made Profiled their single of the week. And then they sent back and said, well, we really like Skeletons as well, but we can't use it
Hmm,
until this one's finished. So there's been some really good backup from it. And there's been some good plays in the States as well.
that's
So
good. Good to hear. And on your artworks, mention of cinemas, you've got a picture of yourself on the big screen with an audience.
that's right. Yeah, that was just me taking the piss, basically. So it's me. I thought, how can I promote Profiled? And I thought, oh, hang on, you can put me on the screen and people looking at it.
Hmm,
So it was just me taking the piss out of
yeah,
myself,
yeah.
basically.
On a serious note, though, your music, you have worked with some established people like Tears for Fears
Yeah,
and Neil Taylor from Robbie Williams's camp.
that's right. Well, Neil produced the album. Now, we go way back till 1978 when we were both putting together new bands, and I met Neil at that point, and we've just remained friends ever since. And he's the one that went off and made it big.
Yeah,
So he was with Tears for Fears.
yeah.
He played the lead on the outro of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and then he played on uh, all the first four Robbie albums. And when their guitarist left, they asked Neil to join, and he was
Oh,
with them for 10 years.
so people would probably know Neil Taylor without knowing.
He's got his own fan club. He's got people that loved him from the Robbie
Hmm.
days, and also the Tears for Fears fans are fanatical, and so they like anything to do with Neil. So I always give this is the first album that Neil has produced, and he's done a fantastic job on it. It really has.
Brilliant. And is this going to go out on like vinyl, CD, physical
Yeah,
copies?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
brill.
I mean, if you'd like a copy, I will send you one down. Just give
Oh,
me an
wow.
address to send it to, and I'll
Yeah,
send
yeah,
it to you.
we'll do that. Be very kind of you, and then
Yeah.
we will share, like,
Actually, the cover itself is fantastic. The guy I used, basically because it's about me looking back, it's got on the cover, it's got three small pictures of me as a child, and then the cover has got all these clippings from my life. So I've put all that on there to make sure people know that the songs really do mean something to
Hmm.
me.
Do you
So,
think like do you think more people should just go back to basics and buy CDs again? I know they're buying vinyls, but the artwork as well,
well,
you can't beat it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the reason I did it. I mean, it was one of those things I thought it's going to be an album that I'm going to leave behind me, and I want it to be in the best format I can. So I've got the vinyl album, which is a gatefold sleeve, and then the CD is actually a bespoke small version of the vinyl album. And when
Oh,
you take the CD out, it looks like vinyl.
mm, mm.
Fantastic job.
Amazing, amazing. Oh, brilliant. So with this release, it's kind of like your legacy in a way.
Yeah,
Ah,
basically. Yeah, because my new wave band, who are called Private Dicks, we've had quite a following, and we're still gigging at the moment, 45 years later, all the same members in the band.
mm,
And we're playing in August at the Rebellion Punk Festival in Blackpool, but it's completely different to what I've done on this.
mm.
So I've had some people saying to me, "Oh, is it a new Dix album?" And I'm going, "No, it's the complete opposite."
And just two more questions to go. Where can people find you, like social media? And if you've got any gigs coming up, what's the best avenue where people can find out that?
If you go on Bandcamp and look for Bristol Archive Records, that's where the album can be purchased. But also, you can get it on Amazon in the UK, and it's a darn sight cheaper. It's only 22 quid on there. And I'm on Facebook, and the whole album and everything else is
Yeah,
available right across the
yeah.
spectrum.
I'm sure people will find you Gav King. That's a cool name.
Well, actually, there's loads of us about.
Ah,
Most people know me as Gavin King, but I had to call it Gav King because there are other people there with Gavin King anyway.
mm. I
So,
suppose, yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
you know,
it's a Gav King musician then.
it's down as Gav King, recording artist.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much for taking time out to speak to me today. Much
Hey,
appreciated.
no problem,
Popping
mate. And
on for a chat.
thanks very much for going the long way round to get me back. I
No worries. We
appreciate
got
it.
you on. That's the main thing.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers, Gav. All right.
Good.